There were two main route changes since the previous world record. Everything else is just mainly optimizations. The first is that I don't get the Master Ball anymore. That's a big change. And then the second is more minor, but I don't equip a berry. I don't unequip a berry. Got the world record yesterday morning, around 24 hours ago, maybe a little more offline. So in the past, Crystal Attempts used to do a LID manip where we set up our lottery ID to match the trainer ID of Kenya, because Kenya's ID is always constant. So we would set the lottery ID to match Kenya's ID. Now that I'm skipping the Master Ball, I no longer need to do that manip, but I still need to set up my trainer ID in something called Start Second, which is like a real-time clock function that affects manips. That's what the first minute or so is doing. I'm trying to set up my trainer ID, which is optional, and then set up the Start Second manip, which is mandatory. Otherwise, early games are pretty much the same. Not sure if I'm gonna speed this up or whatever, but I'll let it play for now. I know Wave did a record video where he just like 2x through most of the Raikou sections. I might just skip through, but just let it play out. Another thing that's new as a result of everything I've been doing is I've been IGT tracking. I can actually show what that means. So this text box is the last text box before you enter the cutscene. And so on this text box, I'll clear it and start a flow timer that'll run the entire run, keep track of my IGT, or at least attempt to keep track of my IGT. So from this text box going forward, I'm starting a timer, starts at 0 and just counts upwards. And I will be using this timer to sync some of my saves, which I can probably turn audio on for at some point. But normally the previous runs would just IGT track from that point until the Toto manip, and then that's the only manip that would be tracked. But since that point, I've developed more, I don't know if you want to say advanced manips or more precise manips that require stricter IGT. So I have to track for certain frame windows instead of old manips being 60 out of 60 IGT or the equivalent 58 or 54 for Raikou, etc. This is all the same, just doing text boxes. You do have some leeway if you're clearing these text boxes. You have around a second, I think, to make the first real IGT window for the Toto. If I go as fast as possible, I can maybe make one IGT second earlier, but the Route 29 manips I have won't work on that IGT second, so it doesn't really save time if I go as fast as possible. So I'll rewind that again, but you'll notice like on this yes no here, I'm not pressing yes as fast as possible. I'm waiting for a flow timer input that I can't hear. And then I reset at a certain point and do Toto manip. Not gonna really explain this, but I forget which Toto I actually got. Okay, from 61. This is the slower top end, but the better Toto overall. You end up with slightly more HP and slightly more speed at level 6, which sometimes matters. I can probably turn on desktop audio for this just so you see what I'm doing for tracking it this way. Hold on. pretty soft, but so here. So around here, I'll start the IGT track flow timer, which means it'll give me a cue for my target frame every second. So it'll be 3 beeps, 1, 2, 3. And on that third beep is when I'm aiming to save. So it'll repeat every second. And then this yes, no is where I have to sync the flow timer input. So I'll play it again, you can see how it syncs. And then I make sure, you can't really tell when I reset, but I make sure I reset on one of these flow timer beeps as well, just so it keeps my IGT timer in track. So around 2 cycles after I hit yes, I'll reset. So I have 2 timed inputs, one for the yes, no, and then one for the reset. And if I do it properly, then I'll be able to hit, at least attempt to track and hit the same target frame every time. Another thing that I didn't really point out is previous runs, they used to do a menu here. So our Totodile comes equipped with a berry. We used to unequip the berry because it would usually pop when you're fighting Rival 1. You're pretty likely to get under half HP. And we want to save this berry for Faulkner's Gym. So previous runs, including the old world record, used to do a menu here, unequip the berry, and then save. And then some point before Faulkner's Gym, they would re-equip the berry. But I'm not doing that. We'll see why in a little bit. So we save, reset. We do about 29 minute. This minute is a 4 frame window. I think it has an IGT of like 6 or 7 frames depending on which Toto I'm going for. So I hit frame 1, one of the middle frames. Never mind, that was frame 0? Say frame 0. Earliest frame. Yeah, it's frame 0. Guaranteed no encounters. And then this is where the first a big major change in the run is you'll notice I'm holding down a button. I'm going to hold the B button down the entire time I'm in this house. And that's because I'm attempting to continue this RNG manip. So what we did just now, we manipulated the RNG to make sure we get no encounters on the way up. And I'm attempting to continue that RNG manipulation once I'm outside of the house again. And in order to do that, I have to make sure I'm clearing all of these text boxes perfectly while I'm holding down the B button. And it could have been the opposite. I could have held down the A button and cleared it with B, but it doesn't really matter. But you'll see how many text boxes there are in this house, and I have to clear all of them perfectly, which is roughly like a 5 or 6 frame window for each text box. So if I miss a single one of these text boxes, if I'm late or early, then the manip I'm attempting to do will fail. So this took many hours of practice and making specific tools to help practice more efficiently, but I've gotten pretty good at doing this. Still fail it a good number of times, but hit rates, I'd say like 65-ish% right now, maybe a little higher. But it's still going, so I'm still holding down the beat button, even though I'm clearing these house text boxes, and then I have to pick up this potion and clear. So this I'm holding the A button, and I'm going to clear with B. I have to clear this perfectly as well. So if I did all of that, I should get no encounters on the way down with this very specific path. I'm also watching this NPC on screen, how he moves, as a confirmation of what IGT frame I hit. So I have mapped out all the IGTs that I'm aiming for and their specific NPC movements. So I noticed this guy, if I go back, he just walks right immediately. So I look at that guy, and then I look at the NPC coming up in Cherry Grove here. And this NPC is just facing right and then walks left one tile. So I know, based on those two NPCs, roughly what IGT I hit. Sometimes some paths have the same NPC movement, but in this case, I think I can probably just check my notes actually around 29. Very can't see this, but I'm checking. So walking right and then facing right, walking left, that's could be either really early or really late in the frame window, but doesn't really tell me too much info yet. But I also have to clear these text boxes perfectly in the rivals. You'll notice I'm holding B again. I'm clearing all of this. And if I do everything perfectly, it allows me to skip unequipping the berry. I'm still holding B, clearing this. And so now I have to use Leer perfectly, which is not that hard in this game. It's a lot easier than in Gen 1, but use Leer perfectly. I have to hold A during the Leer text box, clear this text box perfectly, and then when Chikorita clicks Growl, I'm manipulating a Growl miss. And so for the Chikorita fight, for turn 1, it's like, normally I think it's like 9, a little bit better than 50-50 for whether or not you get hit with Growl. It's like 9/16 that it hits you with Growl, and then 7/16 where it'll either Growl miss or it'll tackle you. But Growl miss is the only outcome we want because we need to stay above half HP. So we need a turn guarantee where Chikorita doesn't do damage to us and we don't get growled. So this manip is entirely designed for specifically a turn 1 Growl miss in order for me to keep my HP above 50% when I end the fight. So I manipulate a Growl miss, and then this is something experimental I've been doing, but by clearing this text box and then using Scratch and clearing this perfectly, I have an idea of what the turn 2 will be. So for this frame, depending on which IGT I hit, which is determined, which I can determine based on the NPC in Cherry Grove and on Route 30, I know that if I hit the early frame, this will either outspeed me or tackle, and since I use Scratch, I know that's not the case. Or if it's on the later frame, I'm outspeeding it with Scratch and it's going to tackle miss, and that's what happens here. So I did hit that entire manip successfully. I manipped entirely from the save on Route 29 until this exact moment. And then from here, the RNG gets too wild and it's too hard to really manipulate further. But this is a really good start considering I have 2 turns in and 0 damage taken. And normally you're either taking 2 hits of tackle or a growl on a tackle, so we're in a good spot to keep our berry. So I think it's a normal fight from here, which is good. I think we see a growl fail, maybe. This growl hitting doesn't really matter because we kill it with a -1 anyway. And then we lose the speed tie at the end and kill it, so a little bit of time lost, but doesn't really matter. But because of all that, the growl fail specifically, I'm able to keep my berry equipped, and that saves 2 entire menus, because normally we have 1 entire menu to unequip the berry and then an entire menu to re-equip the berry. So that saves around 7 or 8 seconds over previous strats, which is pretty significant on Faulkner. So already I think world record gets 1 encounter, and Growl with the 1521. So I should be a good 30 seconds ahead of record already at this point. Maybe 25. Normal text boxes, nothing really to note here. And then here, I'm doing another manip. I'm not gonna play the flow timer, but it's going off right now. And this manip is a 7-frame IGT window with 4 different paths. And it's specifically for a crit turn 1 on Mikey. So save. I can't really use NPCs to track IGT for this one because when the shorter a manip is, the less deviation there is between NPCs. So all the NPCs end up being the same for all 7 frames of IGT, so I can't really tell where I'm hitting in the 7-frame window, but it doesn't matter too much. Because if I'm hitting the window consistently, I should be within a few frames anyway of my target, which is good enough. So I know that there's a crit manip for gold that's similar to this. I just know it's inconsistent IGT. But with IGT tracking, it could be the same as this, I think. So I have to clear these text boxes with the B button held down. Clear perfectly. And then I have to, specifically, I'll slow this down. So I have to use Scratch perfectly, but in a way that's bufferable. Because perfectly would just be, you hold A until the fight menu appears, and then you time your A button on this scratch here. But in order to manip properly, I have to do a select buffer. That's the only way to reasonably click the turn 1 move consistently. So you'll see I do an A select A, I buffer select here, and then I hit A, get the scratch, and then I should crit turn 1. And then I don't have anything for manipulating further turns in the Rattata. So we do have the faster Toto, so we are outspeeding. We're only taking 2 turns instead of maybe 3. I get the crit, which is random, but don't kill. It's very hard to actually 2-shot this rat. You pretty much need a high roll, like a 1 in 39 to kill in 2 turns, so it's pretty tough. But we did save a turn over record there by critting the Pidgey, which is fully manipulated, and then here is normally where you re-equip the berry, but since I already have it equipped, I don't have to do that, so it saves time, and then do another manip. I'm still tracking the IGT, so I'm saving on a flow timer beep. No, this is all offline. This manip's a 3-frame window. It's not that bad. The IGT for this one doesn't matter at all because it's a manip that doesn't have any extensions, so it's one that Stringfoot developed that's 60 out of 60 IGT, so I don't have to worry about hitting a specific target. But I want to keep my IGT specific for future manips. We get the Bitterberry, again, we'll have to clear text boxes perfectly. It's not too hard. And yeah, this is a little bit on the slower side of some paces I've been on, because I lost the speed tie in Rival 1 and also got an extra Growl fail, which is a little slow, but I've entered the gym with the same RNG, like 2 or 3 seconds out of this, which is not that crazy. So this is the fight we want the berry for. I'm not gonna go too much in depth on like why I would do certain things in the run, but when it makes sense, I'll do so. We mainly want to just avoid getting crit by the spear on this fight because our HP is pretty sparse for Faulkner Gym without using the extra potion. Get the crit, don't kill it, that would have saved a turn, which would have been nice, but not a huge deal. It's just a little bit slow to crit and not get anything out of it. I think it loses like 0.5 or 0.6 maybe. I'm gonna heal for the next fight. One thing I'm gonna do actually is yeah, on this track. I don't talk very much in the VOD because at this point it's like 2 AM and my roommates are all sleeping, but just in case we'll put it on the game feed only music. So this is the slowest part of this split, just because we get a tackle miss turn 1, this loses an entire turn, which really sucks because our rage doesn't build. Other turns of tackle, if it misses, it's usually fine because we have enough rage built up where we don't lose time, but this one loses like around 6 seconds. So this one, unluckiest part of the split for sure, that tackle miss. So normally this third rage would kill, but now it's not even close to dying, so that one sucked. It's not very useful, but one thing I do as a little estimation of what my Faulkner time will be is I check the time of when I talk to Faulkner here on my live splits, on this case 13:42, and then I add roughly a minute 13 or a minute 14, and that's what the end time should be with an average fight. So this should be a 14:56 roughly. So, depending on if I get crits or misses, it could obviously change, but that's what I roughly use to check my Faulkner split. And just get an idea of where my execution's at. I ain't playing gold, no way. If I remember, I think I crit a couple times in this fight, which doesn't help. Might be a different run I'm thinking of. Or maybe I get crit once. Okay, crit. That one's actually good because I can skip using rage. I crit twice, okay, yeah. So I save a rage build text box by clicking scratch there, which pretty much breaks even with the crit text box that generates. Yeah, 14:56. Not the best time, but I lost 6 seconds from that tackle miss in Faulkner Gym. That's the main time loss. I lost the speed tie on the rival fight, which costs around 3 seconds, 2 to 3. So my average expected Faulkner should be between like 14:48, 14:49, and like 14:53, depending on how many speed ties I miss or lose. But this is definitely on the slower side of my Faulkner split expectation. I should be getting closer to 14:50, but that tackle miss is the only thing really. Obviously not a huge deal because I'm 25 seconds ahead of record with all the strats I've implemented and the manips, but that is a little bit of time I can easily juice out in the future if I wanted to go for a better time. This is all standard, get the egg. And then this coming up is a more recent addition I started doing. This minip is not recent, but I started extending this minip into Union Cave, which is new. And the idea is, if I do it properly, I can skip Spinner Pass, so. Another wait there to pause on the... Wait for the IGT second. Reframe window. The IGT window is I think 6 frames, which is a little bit tight, but anyway, it's okay. So there's actually 2 pads for this minip once I get into the cave, based on which frame I hit, and I have to do it based on the way this spinner spins. So in my notes, I have that if the spinner spins right down, left, that's one path, and then anything else is the other path. So I'm checking the spinner, I see right down, right up, and this is important because the pattern I'm looking for is right down, left, and this one kind of looks like it in terms of it's right down, and then right up, so that's a different pattern that I have to really keep an eye out for, but I know now which path I'm supposed to be doing, so I have to clear this guy's text boxes perfectly. Again, holding A, clearing with B. And if I do it properly and trust that I hit the minip, then I enter this cave without repelling, so I don't have a repel active. I could get encounters, but I'm able to do this. Pick up the X attack. I do lose 2 steps because I have to pick up the X attack from below, but I have to clear X attack text boxes with A. And if I did everything perfectly, I should be able to pass this spinner without pausing. And it is close, but it's entirely minipped. Then, now that I'm past the spinner, I can do the standard menu where I put the Bitterberry on and repel. So that saves a good amount of time over standard strats because I don't have to pause for the spinner. And if the spinner gets stuck, you lose, 8 seconds. If you just pause normally, you can lose, on average, maybe like 4 or 5 to standard passes, so it saves a good amount of time there. This is a standard fight. I don't think my Bugsy split is particularly good, if I remember. Like a 14 2x, I think. 1420. Standard fight, nothing really to comment there. Then we have to pass another spinner. Pretty good pass. I'm not sure I'm gonna put this on YouTube, but since I did this off stream, I figured I might as well throw this on stream and then give people a chance to, I guess, know before it goes on speedrun.com in case they're not in the Discord. But I don't know if I'm gonna put this on YouTube, but it'll be nice to just have this VOD. One little thing here is normally like this NPC that's in front of the mart is sometimes tricky to path around because if you try to go on the right side of the sign, then you walk to the left, he could block you. So I usually take this path above the sign, but if he walks if he walks left or if he walks up, he could end up blocking you if you take this path above the sign. So depending on which way the NPC moves, I have to react and decide which way I go toward the mart. So it's like a very, very minor thing, but it's kind of funny. But I have gotten blocked before by going above the sign, and then he just walks 2 tiles and blocks you. Nothing really to note here for shopping, just pretty standard. 4 antidotes, 3 paralyzed heals. We can get encounters inside Slowpoke Well. I think there's like 15-ish piles of encounter if you don't count the immunity, and it's a 2% encounter chance per tile, so absolute best case scenario for this fight is we rage and see tackle turn 1, but it's very rare. Tail up is the expected outcome. Otherwise, we're expecting to either usually 3-shot this rat, and then hopefully 1-shot the second rat, or 2-shot depending on if we get the correct rage count or not. So we get quick tack, I think, yeah. So now this is like a 75-ish% range to die. And we'll get it, so pretty average fight, I'd say. Getting the range is nice. I don't remember if I enter the fight at 13. I think I heal. Yeah. 13, you can make an argument to go in. The main benefit to delaying your heal is that if you end up getting poisoned in this fight, you save a menu, because if you healed before, you'd have to open up your menu again to use the antidote. But if you delay the heal, you can open up your menu once, use the antidote, and heal at the same time. It's just a matter of if you would survive at 13 HP. So we get Supersonic turn 1, lose the Bitter Berry, but we get a very good roll on the Water Gun, so we actually 2-shot Zubat. That one's a pretty good one to 2-hit, but it sucks that we lost our berry. Decent crit, but I don't think it's enough to kill. Yeah, we just barely missed the range, but we get a very fast Rocket 2, double Leer, and we 2-shot the Zubat. So far, well, is going very good. I think world record skipped picking up that Super Potion, but on this route, I'm sort of forced to pick it up because my healing items are more useful, I'd say, or I end up using all my healing items more often, so it's hard for me to skip that super. Help is the expected move from the rat. I think it's around 40% to use quick attack turn 2, so we skip seeing it, which is nice, save a little bit of time. These Zubats are pretty good ranges, the 2-shot, even through Leech Life. So right here, I just min-rolled the Zubat. Anytime the Zubat ends up with green HP after I Water Gun, it's a min-roll, so if I min-roll again, this will live. And I min-roll. So I actually lose a turn on the Zubat, which is pretty rare. I double min-roll. I think the min-roll is like 7 out of 39, so it's not that unlikely. Like a little worse than 20%. Then I crit, but don't kill the Zubat, so pretty tough fight, but I don't get confused, so it's not the end of the world. I don't think I got poisoned, but this fight should be completely safe at this HP. For this fight, we usually take damage in increments of 5. Like the Tackle, the Smog, the Poison Ticks all do 5, I think. Maybe Poison Tick 2 more, but we want our HP to be ending with the 6, ideally, because that gives us an extra HP. 16 versus 15 means we survive 3 hits versus dying, but pretty standard fight here, nothing really to write about. So one metric I've been using to sort of gauge how good my Bugsy split is up until this point is I look at my sub split timer and also my main timer for when I exit the well, but also enter the gym. So here, 9:53 on the sub split timer for exiting well is pretty good. Anything sub 10 is usually pretty good. And then I think this is sub 25 entering gym. Yeah. So decent run. I've had runs that are like, I think my best ever gym entrance is like a 24:38 or 24:40, sorry. So 16-ish seconds better than this, but this is still pretty good. If I remember correctly, I think I get confused here. This is where the main time loss is, the split. It's 50-50 to use Supersonic, and Supersonic is 55% accurate, so a little higher than 25% chance to get confused, and it hits, so that sucks. Itself once, take a lot of damage. And then I think we snap next turn. Yeah, so lose a full turn and then a little bit more to the extra text box and animation. So at this point I'm thinking my HP is a little bit low for Bugsy. Depending on how much damage I take during this specific fight, I might have to heal with my potion, or if I'm YOLOing, I could enter Bugsy as low as 28 or 27 if I'm feeling really risky. Otherwise, I'll potion if I get around 28, 29 or lower, so. Doesn't matter, lose time. So this rage on the Weedle is a pretty bad range to hit. It's around 50%. I also have a chance to get poisoned, so no, I'd have run that failed Raikou Prep on better pace than this, I think. The 28 Bugsy run. The pass, pretty risky pass here, but just wanted to go quickly. I sort of skipped over the last part, but I did get the Weedle range and get poisoned, so I'm entering at 30 HP, which is a little bit low, but it should be fine in most cases. Metapod has a lot of different things it can do. Turn 1. Most common is Harden, but the faster fights are usually where it doesn't set up Harden at all, so this is a pretty standard fight. Harden to the string shot, pretty slow, compared to if it just uses tackle spam the entire time and starts building rage immediately, then end up being a lot faster, so. I think I lost like 2 turns or 3 turns to a really good Metapod fight, but sort of expected that you lose time here. We did it. Hopefully I don't get poisoned. If I get poisoned here, it's really scary for Scyther, but thankfully I didn't, so should be okay. Unless I get crit here. So other than the Confuse on Ladybug, this is just a very good Bugsy split. Like, only thing really to note is I missed one of the Zubat ranges on Rocket 3, and then I got confused in extra time, but otherwise this is a very good split. And the Metapod, I guess, is a little bit slow, but like nothing really to complain about the split other than those 2 things. The range miss on Zubat and then getting confused. So I'm losing a good amount of time to record, because this is one of record's better splits. 14 flat from record is pretty ridiculous. I think my average split is a 14.25, so 14.18 for me, still above average, but Definitely lost time here. I think my best split ever at this point is a 28-48. I got it recently. That's a pretty ridiculous time, but I think ideally I should be getting like 29.0x for the type of runs I'm going for, but fine. This still mainly comes down to missing that tackle, or getting the tackle missed on Faulkner's Gym. Like, that's sort of the pace I'm accounting for. 6 seconds faster than this would have gotten me a 29.0x, but I think rage count was good. I can check here. Or maybe I need a rage. Might have 8 rages. 8. Well, scroll back. 8 rages. So normally I want to be at 6 ranges or below when I enter Rival 3. That means I need to burn 2 somewhere. So with 8 rages, that means I'm probably going to rage the Zubat coming up. So I have to keep that in mind. See Spite. It's pretty lucky. I think it's around 16% to see Spite turn 1. Definitely the fastest move. Reflect, pretty good. It's around 1/3 to use Reflect, so. Where's Leaf non-crit? So pretty importantly, I am above 50% HP, so I have 58 HP, below half would be 29 or lower. So when you're at 29 HP or lower, the Zubat is 95% to use Bite and 5% to use Supersonic, which is really good for us. But at above half HP, it's 50-50 whether we see Bite or Supersonic. And it's even more important because I have to use Rage, so we really want to see Bite this turn. So thankfully we get the 50-50, we see Bite. And then now that I'm below half HP, it is 95% likely to use Bite again. So another Bite, Rage builds, Reflect wears out, and we killed Rage. It's actually faster. So we have 6 Rages right now. If I could have killed this with Water Gun, I would have, and it would be faster. It's slightly faster for us to be at exactly 6 Rages versus 5 for future Rival 3 reasons, but this range is not Water Gun, so I couldn't use Water Gun to kill. So I'm losing a little bit of, like, I'm getting a little bit of slower Rival 3 fight because I'm at 5 Rages now, but it's like a very, very minor optimization. Check if I can kill with Water Gun there. If I can't, then I have to Rage extra time. But overall, that was a good fight. Didn't get poisoned, didn't get confused. My HP is above 22 or 20. It's above 21, which is a healing threshold for me. I can skip this heal and then heal before Whitney. That's because the Snubble fight coming up, the strongest damage move it has is Bite, which does 7, and we aim to live 3 bites, so that'll be 21 HP. We want to be 22 HP or higher, and I think we're at like 25 or 24, so we're chilling. Pretty standard stuff here. I think there's a faster way to do this puzzle, but it just requires more steps. So this is the path we have to do for this puzzle for the repel requirements, but I think there's a more optimal path if you had infinite repels, technically. So. So one thing coming up that I've been debating recently is there is 2 tiles of grass we have to walk through before Goldenrod, and you are around 80% likely to not get an encounter. And I'm considering here using cut on those 2 tiles. So if I cut this grass, you know, 0 encounters guaranteed, but on average it loses around a second and a half, which is not nothing. 80% of the time you're losing time by cutting, so it's something I've been considering. On this one I didn't go for it because this Bugsy time is not the best. 29:14 is not really good enough for me to consider this, but if the run were like a 28 Bugsy pace, I would consider it. Something to point out. You are losing time on average, but it's better than getting an encounter, so sort of hedging bets. No, we'll see it coming up pretty soon, but you cut from outside the grass. If anyone's curious on the time analysis on that, just a doc I put together. Yeah, one thing I'll point out here. So one thing that this route does differently than the old route is normally this is where you would pick up, you would talk to the guard on the left and pick up Kenya, and we use this as our flyer. And this is normally because we need Kenya before we do our shopping section after Whitney. But you'll notice that I skip picking up Kenya here, and that's because one, I no longer need Kenya for the Master Ball since I'm not getting the Master Ball. But 2, it's a very, very minor optimization for Whitney. Because if I get a Metronome Roar or Metronome Whirlwind for Whitney, and I have Kenya in my party, I lose the fight pretty much. But because I delay getting Kenya, getting Roar or Whirlwind just means it's a nothing move. So here we actually cut the grass because it ends up being 4 tiles of grass that we go through, 2 on the way there, 2 on the way back, and this ends up being slightly faster on average to cut, so this one we just always cut this bush. So this, by skipping or delaying getting Kenya, it is a bit of a disparity between our splits and record. So record picks up Kenya during that split, so we are saving quote unquote some time there, but we end up losing that time right back on Rival 3, so it's around, I think, 13 seconds to get Kenya. This Noble fight coming up has some pretty scary moves. We ideally want to 3-shot it, but it's not a good range. It's like 30% to die to 3 turns, something like that. What is it for the percent of Kenya punish? I mean, getting Kenya early and getting punished. There's like 2 moves that are really bad for Metronome that turn to nothing. It doesn't always use Metronome. It's kind of hard. I forget how many moves there are that are in the Metronome pool. It's over 200 for sure, so it's less than 1% probably. But anyway, we don't end up seeing Scary Face or Lick Paralysis. We don't get the 4-shot, or we don't get the 3-shot, but that's fine. We don't get paralyzed, so good fight. And then now we can heal to near full HP before Whitney. I actually have gotten a Metronome Whirlwind recently, and it was a very satisfying moment because I would have been fucked otherwise, you know. Turn 1, it's 50-50 to use Metronome or Double Slap. Double Slap is ideal because Metronome has too many things you could do. We see Swift, which ends up being about what Double Slap would do in terms of damage. Return. Our HP is getting a little bit scary. And then Powder Snow, which is a nothing move. Pretty scary Clefairy, we saw 3 Metronomes. But thankfully nothing too scary. Okay, roll out. We get a good enough roll, so now we can Water Gun, so this fight is guaranteed. If the Miltank missed rollout turn 1, I would have had to Fury Cutter again because it would Milk Drink. But because it landed rollout, it's locked to the rollout, so I'm safe to Water Gun there. Yeah. Not the best. Whitney. 926 split. I think my best ever is like a 908. But it's pretty hard to save that. I think the main time loss was losing a turn on the Snubble and also on the Zubat on Rival 2, but I think around like anything sub 930 is usually pretty good. This is kind of funny what happens here. I've never seen the girl move this far because I fucked up talking to her from the from above. But would you, Fran? Pretty slow shopping, I think. I don't know what I was doing at this point. Buying escape ropes is pretty slow there. Next specs is fine. So this is where most of the time save comes from over record in terms of routing. Normally, record would turn left here, enter the radio tower, talk to the lottery guy, and get the master ball. And that's around a 30 to 35 second detour, but I'm skipping that shit. That's most of the routing time save. Skipping the master ball. Here we pick up Kenya. Again, it doesn't really save or lose time to pick him up early or late, but I prefer late because of the minor metronome optimizations. Pass. Scary pass here, but get lucky on the spin. I think I actually fuck up the bike this next one. Yeah, walk tile. And this is an optimization Fran came up with. Doing this menu outside the house to delay the repel. And that way, if you get a stuck spinner coming up, you still have enough repel tiles to get past them. So I only started doing that recently, in the past like week, I think. Brain Guy's genius, so true. We did it, chat. So far this has been a pretty good split. Shopping was okay, but all the spinner passes were pretty good, so. On target right now. I fuck up using the repel there. How did they even find that? You don't understand how much I've gone through both this Discord and the previous old PSR Discord for any routing ideas, because I was curious to see if like anything could be implemented. And all the Karen discussions and all the like, yeah, everything. I've probably read the entire channel history multiple times at this point. This Haunter has a chance to not use Curse turn 1, and that's pretty slow. Thankfully it uses it immediately, so we get the swap. So I'll point something out here. We do get paralyzed, which is slow, but we use X special and notice the spite text box. So this spite, you'll notice the text box is pretty quick when it uses up your moves. So this rage was reduced by 4, that timing, versus this next one coming up where it fails. So that difference in timing between it used up 4 and it didn't work or whatever, it's faster spite text box if it uses up a move. So that's why it's faster to have 6 rages instead of 5, because you get an extra turn of that took away 1 PP or whatever, and that's slightly faster than the seeing an extra, but it didn't affect or whatever. So that's the only reason why you prefer having 6 over 5 rages. It's slightly faster to see it use up versus seeing it didn't affect photo. So we have to heal paralysis, which saves or loses like 6-ish seconds. Each turn, by the way, we're doing this, it's around 80% to use Spite and 20% to use Lick. Another funny thing to note here is Kenya gained 270 experience points. Normally, Kenya would gain boosted experience points because it's a traded Pokemon. But at the start of the run, one thing that I started doing is I started manipulating my own trainer ID to match Kenya's. And so because my trainer ID, in this case I hit the manip, my trainer ID matches Kenya, Kenya no longer gets boosted experience. And so now Kenya does not level up when normally it would have. So I save like 3 seconds here from not getting a level up because I did trainer ID manip, which is completely optional at the beginning. So very, very minor optimization, but very fun to see it work. Sometimes you miss the manip and it doesn't really matter. You get the level up and you move on, but in this case I hit the TID, so. This also means that I could have gotten the Master Ball with Croc had I done LID manip, but yeah, but it doesn't really matter anymore. Bailey's a pretty bad 2-shot range. We crit, don't kill, 0 reflect, and then I think we crit again here. Yeah. I think that Bayleaf is 60-ish% to die to a 2-shot. It's around 132 is Razorleaf turn 1, and if it crits you, you kind of just die. So. Pretty scary fight. Bit slow because of the paralysis from Haunter, otherwise decent segment. 644. I'm expecting like a good split would be like a 635 probably. 638 maybe. So I still have my potion. Actually, I can. I'll turn on desktop audio for this just so you hear. Low timer. It's gonna be a little soft. You'll hear what I listen to when I do this. That was pretty close to the second. I could have waited an extra second, but I felt pretty good about making that. So I look at that top girl NPC to figure out which Raikou I hit. I hit the middle frame, so I know which path to do. I have to hold B for this, and then do this. I have to enter the bag perfectly, and then boom. So I will switch back to... So a couple things to note. This input here to go down in the pack, it's around a 6, I think a 6 frame window, 5 or 6 frame window. Usually pretty free. And then I'm waiting here for flow timer, but the input I'm waiting for on flow timer is around it's a 4 frame window. And then once flow timer hits, I have to do A, B, A, so I have to do a back out. And to A, select A. And these are all, I think, 4 frame windows. So recently, I haven't been that consistent. I've been missing it a good amount. But on a good day, I've been like 80-90% hit rate, so... So this is the best pace I've been on at this point. I don't think I've gotten first ball Raikou on a good run ever. So... best pace ever by far. And it is the middle frame Raikou, which means it's slightly better special, which matters for some ranges. So now at this point I have a choice. I could let the run play out normal speed, or I could like speed it up. Yeah, this was at 3 in the morning when I caught Raikou. I don't really care that much if I speed it up or not. It's just whatever people feel like seeing. Cause I'll point out some small things, but a lot of the Raikou section is just one-shot stuff, so it's not that compelling. But let it play out. But people prefer me to speed it up or let it play out. Speak up. No using speed ups, alright. Mentally, I think at this point I'm mainly thinking about the chuck split. There are a ton of spinners in the chuck split that if I hit, you know, I just go to bed, not a big deal. But I know that if I make it past the chuck split, I'm probably going to stay up for the next, like, at least another hour, so. So Umbreon is a range. It's pretty slow if you paralyze it. It has sand attack, which is sometimes troll if you miss, so. Thankfully just the tail whip. Nothing really spectacular there. Yeah, I ended up staying up. It was around 5 AM my time when I finished the run. And then I had a work meeting at 9 AM, but I had a meeting at 9 and then the meeting at 10. And then it was pretty chill after that. This Jolteon is a range to die with quick attack. I forget what the range is, I can look it up. I think it's like 70% to die to QA. Yeah, best possible split here is first pull Raikou, you crit the Umbreon, and then get the Jolteon Rage. So you can see in my live split, my PB at a 10-26 split. And that's because it's second ball Raikou. Is it still Wii when it happened offline at 3 AM? I'd say so. I actually fucked up there. I'll put it out. I'm supposed to go left to tile and then down. But actually, you can see me holding left here. I just don't hold it long enough. I end up getting a turn frame. Yeah. Lose some time. Doesn't matter for the repel setup, thankfully, but I was XQC smashing there at 3 in the morning. Nice, Morty times it for the future. True. It's slightly more optimal to aim for the third Raikou in the cluster, because that Raikou you get on your bike and you bike for like 1 extra tile of grass, so it's like another 8 frames faster to get that Raikou than any of the other frames. But obviously I'm not like aiming for a specific Raikou frame, I'm just aiming for the cluster. It is slightly more optimal to get that third Raikou. I guess I can talk generically about the early game. Like, I've definitely had runs that are... Like, Faulkner, I can realistically save 6, but up to, like, 15 seconds on Faulkner. On Bugsy, I could theoretically save another 20. Whitney, I can save another, like, 10, probably. So, absolute best case, you can... Like, 37 Whitney is possible, but low 38 is more realistic. Like, you can eke out... Plus Rival 3 I got paralyzed too. You can eke out easily, not easily, but you can eke out 30 seconds at least before Raikou if I were to go for a 306. Nah, I wasn't that worried. There's not a lot of hard execution in Crystal compared to Gen 1 or 3, I think. Like, unironically, most of the time save, I think, comes from how well you can do this exact fight buffer, where you're holding A, and you press, you know, A again to click a move. Like, because you're doing this, like, 100+ times, and if you lose a little bit of time every time you do it, it's most of the time loss. Like, this is the interesting execution in Gen 2, I think. Like, how well you can do this fight buffer. Because Gen 2 there's not a lot of like menuing, you don't really do a lot of like... There's some interesting movement sections that are difficult, but not compared to Gen 3. It's just... A lot of the execution you focus on are how well you can click your move. You're one-shotting everything. I'm not that concerned. I think Gen 1 though, there's more things to think about in execution. Like menus are a big thing, text boxes in general are a big thing. But I think menuing is just a bigger portion of the pie in Gen 1, which is why I think it feels bigger in Gen 2. Like there's the IT section in Gen 1. That was for red. There's the pie and Oreo cheesecake. I don't know what I was thinking of when I said pie. Maybe just the normal cheesecake, not Oreo. Yeah, these fights are pretty boring. More interesting in Gent and Gold, I think, because you get cursed and shit, but we just one-shot everything, so it's not really interesting. Yeah, 943. I think Gold is a 940, and that's from critting the Umbreon. We also tossed our potion, which is not nothing. If we were to get under half HP from Rival 3, we'd have to potion to above half HP. For Raikou, you'll wall to work. Normal cheesecake equals New York cheesecake Nixon 6. I'm down. These are all very good passes. Pretty lucky. Ace isn't 4. Probably the most likely. I don't know, but it's probably very likely. So there are 2 more spinner passes coming up this split. There's Ernest and then Kaylee on the water. By this point, I think we're around halfway done with the spinner passes. Super small thing I'm doing here is normally by 10 super repels, I'm buying an 11th. Because I hate getting encounters. Thank you, Poi. Yeah, so record buys 10 repels, I buy an 11th, so I'm losing a little bit of time to using the extra repel, but it really saves my sanity by having extra repel. And I'll point it out when I use it. These fights are also just all one-shots. We could be Thundershocking these, but we want to use as many sparks as possible because it has fewer characters than Thundershock. Lake of Rage, Fran. I had one 310 PB that got 2 Lake of Rage encounters, and after that I decided I'm repelling every run. And it doesn't even lose time, it's like barely faster on average. Minor turn frame thing, I make sure to enter these stairs from below instead of from the right side. So that way I can continue to walk up and talk to the next trainer from the right. Just pointed out little things like that. Super minor movement optimization. That saves from generating an extra turn frame. Yeah, we end up using all 20 of our sparks before we get a heal, so we try to maximize our spark use because it's the shortest move we have. That is when it doesn't generate doesn't needlessly generate a super effective box. So when we can, we'll use other moves like quick attack or strength, but yeah, Gent 2 miss would be pretty awful. Pretty lucky on the Ernest pass. I have a pretty minor mistake here on this menu. So normally you're supposed to swap Super Repel to slot 2, but I accidentally overscroll and swap it to slot 1. It barely loses time to do that. It's like less than, I think, 5 inputs that I lose total, so doesn't really matter unless I mess up and use the wrong item, so I just have to keep in mind that repel and escape ropes are switched from my normal menus, but otherwise it's like a very, very minor mistake. We have Kaylee coming up. And she's stuck. So at this point, now that I've passed all of the Chuck spinners, I'm sort of bracing myself for the long haul. There are still spinners left. Pryce has 2 or 3 spinner passes, but it just feels like at this point, most of the spinner passes are done at this point. This point of the run, so preparing myself to stay up for another hour at least. I think my least favorite has to be Ivan or Erwin, one of the Spinner Hell ones, because if you hit them after you beat Whitney, it doesn't even help you in that, like, you can't even cope and say it's like not even that bad, you know? Like, if you hit them on the first pass, you get level 20 for Whitney, and also you skip that spinner pass on the second and third runs. But if you hit them after Whitney, just you can't even pretend to feel like it's some benefit. God, season 8. World record actually crits this Hitmonchan. Save some time. If you get status, it's depending on what status it. Like burn is the best case, but paralyze and freeze are both really bad. Thankfully, we don't see it, so. World record does crit the Hitmonchan. I don't remember if we even lose that much time to record here. We had some really fast spinner passes. This run might be it, that's right. It's also crazy that Magnet Spark doesn't kill that Hitmonchan in one turn. That still baffles me that we don't have a guaranteed kill on the Hitmonchan with Spark. Level 42 max DV Magnet boosted Spark doesn't kill Hitmonchan is kind of crazy. But yeah, rest of the gym, we just one-shot everything. Hitmonchan, so true. Also, at this point, I have to assume after, like, Rival 3, maybe there have been better Rival 3 times, but I doubt it. But I'm assuming from here on forward, it's all, like, best pace ever, like, community best pace ever. At least until, like, Pryce or Will. But, like, Morty, Chuck should, I think these are by far, like, best pace ever. Like, I don't think anyone's gotten the 104 Chuck before. But maybe someone can correct me. Whitney's 30-40's not. I think my best Whitney's like a 38-35. Better is definitely possible than that. But you can see it's my best pace ever by almost a full minute because I've never gotten first try Raikou on a good run. And it's not even a good run at this point. It's like an average run up until Whitney. Yeah, I don't even lose a full second to record here, even though crits hit Hitmonchan. I think that's just my spinner passes were very fast and lucky. But 949 is a really, really good split. I think my target's like a 954. Assuming like average spinner passes and shit like that. I'm actually not sure what the optimal way is to path and talk to this NPC. Audio does get fucked here. If needed, I do have original desktop audio, so I could supply that, but it's funny. I'm actually watching, I don't know if anyone knows Ethos Lab, the Minecraft YouTuber, but I'm actually watching like his latest video at the start of this run, so you can hear it in my desktop audio. It's kind of funny. How frequently would you guess you get to Raikou Minute on pace similar to world record? Not that frequently, because, well, it should be pretty often, but recently I've just been dying a shit ton to Whitney. Like Bugsy and Whitney just shut down so many good pace runs, so it's hard to actually get to Raikou in general. But so I think I had a streak of like 12-ish runs in a row that all died to Whitney without getting past. Like Whitney just kills so many runs. The fight itself, but also Rival 2, spinners, it's just a horrible split. So this is where I'm using the extra 11th Super Repel. I'm losing a bit of time here to record. Probably like 4-ish seconds if I had to guess. Yep. One's not too bad. And that Super Repel is just for this water. Because you can get encounters in the Lake of Rage. I think it's a 6% per tile area, and I've gotten 2 encounters before in one of my PBs, so I was just sick of any encounters here. I looked into the repel and found that it breaks even or barely saves time to repel, so now I just buy the 11th Super Repel and never worry about encounters again here. I used to dread surfing in that water because of fucking encounters. You have to kill it in order for the game to proceed. Or you can like Pokédoll it, but I think if you run away from it, it doesn't... I don't know if you can't run, but it might just stay in the Lake of Rage until you beat it. If we could run from it, we would, but the XP doesn't matter at all. think over the course of the entire run, we probably fight at least 30 rocket grunts, maybe like 40 plus. It's like we fight so many rockets. Slowpoke Well, this hideout, radio tower, the underground. Just fight so many rockets. There was a couple, I forget how long it was, like a couple, maybe like 2-week period where I was picking up this item ball that's on the right next to this trainer. It's guard spec. I was picking it up for a more consistent Karen fight. The guard spec would help against accuracy drops, but I've deemed it too slow for the kind of times I've been going for. Because they actually use the guard spec, it's probably like 10 seconds slower, maybe a little less than that on average, but it's decided it's not worth it anymore. But I think it's a decent strat still. If you can afford it, buying an X accuracy is the best flex strategy for Karen, but guard spec is not that bad either. The guard spec strat is actually really interesting because I would full restore to full HP right before Karen, because Karen, or in general, enemy trainer AI treat your Pokemon differently based on how much HP it has. So if I talked about the Zubat on Rival 2, if you're under half HP, it does one thing versus over half HP. So if you're at full HP, Karen's Umbreon is way more likely to use and spam Sand Attack versus any other move. And Sand Attack is the best move you want to see with guard spec. We just don't want to see Confuse Ray. So by full restoring to full HP and then using the guard spec, it's slightly faster on average than just being at like 75% HP and using guard spec. So even with the extra heal, the fact that you're getting more Sand Attack and fewer Confuse Ray made that strategy faster. That was a pretty fun route. I think one of my, I forget which PB had the 4-star guard spec in it. I think the first 308 I did, maybe 308 4X, but it was a fun strat. But I think it's, with the kind of times I'm going for now, it's not worth it to get the guard spec anymore. But it was a pretty interesting idea. So here I get the repel wear out. And Record doesn't get that because Record doesn't repel for like a bridge, so I think in general it's definitely under, like raw time loss, I think it's under 5 seconds. I think it's around 4. But on average you're saving a tiny bit of time to not getting any counters. So I think it's a pretty worthwhile addition. I'm also doing an extra move swap here, so I swap Strength to slot 4. I've been doing these for a while, but these move swaps were mainly pioneered by a Japanese runner, Higurashi06. He had a pretty extensive pace bin where he recorded like all the inputs you save with various swaps, so I adapted that from him. Or them, I don't know what they... But that's one of 2 swaps I'll be doing, and it saves like, I think in general both swaps save a little bit more than a second. I did get the lucky talk, no exclamation points. rockets the spinner. If he sees you, it's a little bit slower because he like notices you, and then depending on how far away he walks over to you, and he walks slower. At least I think he walks slower. It might be the same, but alright, first of 2 passes for this guy. Decent pass there. I think I take some pretty bad passes in Kanto. Just because I was trying to go fast. But these passes are still pretty good. Pretty disciplined. One idea I've had that I don't know if it's even possible is the idea of skipping Route 29 Minute altogether. So you save and quit for Toto. I'm wondering if it's possible to extend that all the way through Route 29 without saving and quitting again. That's a very, very stretched idea. I don't know if that's even possible, but it's something I've been investigating. There's some interesting like candy route ideas that don't seem like they're faster, but they're pretty close. So there's a rare candy inside the lighthouse you can pick up, and there's a rare candy on lanes, like on the Cinnabar volcano, that you can pick up. And both are pretty close to being faster, but end up not fully being flushed out. But I spent a few days along with another runner, Headbob, who was a very talented router. He was also helping me look into it, but otherwise I don't think there's any outstanding routing ideas I have. I think if I'm remembering the term, like my white whale idea that I wish worked but didn't is picking up Dig inside National Park and teaching it to Raikou, or even Croc, and using Dig instead of escape ropes. Like if our move usage ended up working out, Dig is actually pretty interesting because we don't have a good move to use against electric or steel Pokemon, and Dig is a pretty good coverage move in that aspect. But TP ends up being too tight to actually teach it to Raikou. And it ends up just being too slow to teach it to Croc or escape rope usage. So I think teaching it to Croc, I think loses. I think last time I checked, it loses like 7 or 8 seconds compared to the standard route, so it's close, but it's not there. But that's the biggest idea that I wish worked, but it just doesn't. There's also some ideas of manipulating, like doing an extra save and quit manip and manipulating Spinner Hell, or there's some ideas of like manipulating an Abra Catch for Goldenrod and using Abra for teleport for mainly Kanto, but when I looked into it, it's just they're all slower than the current routes. Nothing I found is actually that much impact. The Abra stuff is interesting because you would do a completely different Kanto order, and you'd skip a bunch of spinner passes, but yeah. I've still never seen a shiny Electrode here. Also, I think we're just high enough level where strength kills Maybe think of a different move, but I know there's routes where you teach hidden power early and you can hidden power these electrodes. And if it has good enough special and HP, it could be a range to die. Like a very, very small range to die, but I think strength might be too strong. Even if we're level 43. But these can have random DVs, so it could have, you know, it could be perfect HP, perfect defense, whatever, or it could be 0, so... We have to do, for damage range checks, we have to check against, like, across the spectrum of different electrodes to make sure we're killing the right, like, killing all the electrodes possible. So this is, if I had an extra escape rope, this is where I would use it. Or if I had dig, this is where it saves the most time. By digging out of this generator room, instead of walking out, it saves the most time out of any place where we don't have an escape rope money for. But the money doesn't work out for an extra escape rope, so we have to walk out. So this is another small change from record. Is I'm teaching hidden power here, but also I'm going to teach whirlpool in this menu. And normally we teach whirlpool in the later menu, but by doing it here, it saves a little bit of time on average. But this is going to be like fake time lost compared to record, because record delays this teach. So this is like another 14, 15 seconds that I'm quote unquote like losing to record, but I'll make back in the Clair split. Save and quit for Douglas. And good. No Douglas hit. Which matches record. Record does not hit Douglas. Record's price split is pretty good in general. So we're gonna do another swap here. I think I fuck up the swap, actually. Swap our Thundershock. Yeah, fuck it up a little bit. And then this is really annoying. This Pryce Wine. So it's 20% to use a Hyper Potion, and it does. But I not only lose a hidden power, which is important and relevant for future, but also just lose the full turn in the heal, so that's another 10 seconds gone. That's the biggest time loss this split is, like real time loss is seeing that Hyper Potion. Yeah, so my PB hits Douglas, and and this run didn't hit Douglas, and you can see I saved less than I saved what 6 seconds on my PB, when usually hitting Douglas is like 16 to 20 second time loss. So it's the huge swing there. I think my PB also crits the Pryce Wine, which is also like ridiculous. Like it hits Douglas and then crits Pryce Wine. This one doesn't hit Douglas, but gets the Hyper Potion, then I end up barely saving time. And my PB also does the delayed, or does the Whirlpool teach there too, so that should be the same. You can see compared to record, it looks like I lost 24 seconds. In reality, that's closer to like 10 seconds, because of the extra HM teaches around 14. Losing 10 seconds to record seems about right with the Hyper Potion. Earnest Pass Part 2. It's a good spin. this coming gym is it's pretty disgusting. I think I misplayed this gym too. But normally this gym is pretty straightforward. You just pass the spin of the lighthouse, and then normally you just one-shot both Magnemites, and the only thing you're really worried about is whether or not you see a Hyper Potion from the Steelix, but we'll see what happens here. So an average split here should be like a 312, 313 range with a good pass and good fight. We'll keep that number in mind, 312. Everything seems normal. Then I missed the range. It's a 95% range. I get Thunder Waved. I heal it off immediately. I think this is a misplay. I think I'm supposed to kill this and then heal on Steelix because of it has Supersonic. I didn't realize it had Supersonic. So that could have been way worse if I actually got confused. But that was pretty terrible. And also, since I missed the range, I had to use Hidden Power to kill it. So now I'm down 2 Hidden Powers total because I got the Hyper Potion on Piloswine and then I missed the range here, so it's relevant because for the upcoming Rival 4 and Radio Tower section, you have exactly 2 extra PP if everything goes well. So right now, since I used 2 extra Hidden Powers, I'm going to end up with exactly 0 PP at the end of the section. So PP management is very tight. So you can see I got a 327 split. And 312 is about the average, so I lost around 15 seconds there. Would I dig those if that was in the route? Maybe. I mean, Spark kills 95% of the time, so you'd probably still Spark there. And unfortunately, Dig does not nearly do enough damage to one-shot the Steelix. But Dig is more relevant for like Rival 5 Magneton or Surge, everything in Surge Gym that you normally, like for turns where you normally set up and one-shot the Magneton, you would just Dig instead, and that just saves both X items and chance to get paralyzed. So like Rival 5 is the big one, and Surge, because normally you're like 70% likely to get paralyzed and lose time there. But if you just Dig, you just one-shot it, so. Yeah, Rival 4 section, pretty boring. Normally you're just concerned about how many quick attacks you see. There is, I think, 1 range on the split, and it's coming up. But otherwise you just one-shot everything. So this is just about like, how clean can you do your fight execution? How many crits do you get? How many quick attacks do you see? More than anything else. So that first fight we didn't see any quick attacks, which is nice. So I think next fight is the fight with the range. The thing about Dig that's really interesting is that you just save so much money. Escape ropes are $5.50 a piece, and you're saving 5 escape ropes worth. If you teach it to Croc, at least. but there's just not a good use for the money that saves enough time to make up for it. Like, we can't really buy anything that matters that much. Like, you can buy extra, like, X items, but we don't really use the X items. Like, in fact, with you're depending on who you teach to, you might be saving X items. So it's like, the most compelling thing is, like, maybe you don't sell your TMs, but it just doesn't save enough time. Matter. This muck is the range, by the way. It's a 95% range. I don't know if we'd even use Thunder if we could. Thankfully, I get the range. And I don't think there's any other ranges between now and Houndoom. So our PP management should be set. Like, we should have exactly enough PP to get through this entire section. Okay, and I'm actually gonna let this play for a little bit, be right back. There's a rocket rotator coming up. There's some pretty interesting ways that you can dodge, like time the dodge. Because if you just walk normally, you will hit the rotator. You have to wait a little bit amount of time. Recently, I've just been waiting normally, so it's a little bit slow, but make sure I just don't get seen. But there's some interesting ways you can like burn the time, like I think the biggest ones I've seen are you generate an extra turn frame in place, and that way that saves like just enough time where you can pass the rotator without being seen. But I haven't really practiced that much, so I just am opting to wait and just take a slower pass, but one where I don't have to stress about it. Because it can be pretty scary if you turn frame incorrectly and don't save enough time, or don't waste enough time with the turn frame, and then you just get seen anyway. It would be really cool if you could dig out of this building, but like digging out of this building saves at least 30 to 40 seconds, but it just doesn't, it's not coded that way. But digging out of this building alone, if it were possible, would make dig faster. You can see after Jasmine, I'm only 6 seconds ahead of record. More realistically, that's closer to 20 seconds ahead after the TM or the Whirlpool teach. But being ahead of record before Kanto is a good sign, because record has a pretty bad Kanto relative to how good the time is. Raikou doesn't have the best E4 either, but neither does this run, so... One interesting thing with the rotator, because I have to go back and walk past him again, you have to pause for at least 1 frame in your movement. If you just do perfect movement, he sees you, but if you wait any amount of time, then you don't get seen, so you have to just stutter or step a little bit and then he doesn't see you. But I probably paused for a good amount of time there, like at least like 8 frames, but if you're really fast, you can pause for like very little time, and it looks like you don't pause, so it can be a little bit scary, but you have to trust that you're actually pausing and wasting time. It's kind of funny. Like a game of chicken. Another thing I looked into is whether we could fight these trainers early as Croc before you fight Whitney. Because it wouldn't even, this detour wouldn't even lose that much time if we fought these guys early. If we could one-shot these Slowpokes, but we don't have the damage to do it. Because if we could one-shot the Slowpokes, that would give us level 20 for Whitney, and that would be just way better for the health of the split. But we just don't have a good move to use against Slowpoke. Doesn't work out. I think at this point our best move is like cutting the Slowpoke, and it's like a 2-shot, I think. Maybe. It might not even be 2-shot. I don't remember the last time I looked at it, but it just wasn't close to 1-shot, so... But that was one idea I had. Because if we could do it, then it might be worth it. Otherwise we just do it all as Raikou and we're hilariously overleveled. That's pretty chill. Still just one-shotting everything in this fight, so... No real concerns yet. Thankfully it's a Magnemite, not a Magneton, otherwise we'd have to probably set up and take another Thunder Wave most likely. Kind of surprising Meganium actually dies here. Or is it a Bayleaf? That's Meganium. It's probably pretty close to being a Rage. Or +0. We're not set up at all and it still dies. When the next one we fight it, we go +1 and it's a Rage, so... Yeah, 1252, pretty good split. I didn't see any quick attacks. So the main time loss would just be crits or poor fight execution. I think my gold's at 51, so it's not too bad. And I switched off of the record comparison, but I can tell you that right now. Check. So at Rival 4, I am 9.4 seconds ahead of record. So I saved around 3 seconds over record's Rival 4 split, which sounds like a quick attack. Yeah, but the next 12 minutes of this is pretty much just what we're looking at. Just clicking the 1 move. Not really much to optimize here. I do a quick attack. I think I see the max amount of quick attacks on this split. So. I think there's 2 or 3 quick attack Pokemon. But it's hard to really count that as actual time you can save in the future. Just it is just random if it clicks it or not. Like my PB and best are 1207, 1206. I think my target's like a 1215 maybe. But that's also because of a range that I'm going for later, the Houndoom. Switch puzzle is actually pretty complex in terms of how the order of the switches affects which doors open, not just the combination of on-off, but thankfully this ends up being very fast and easy. It really is such a boon that we have Thundershock. A 30 PP move that just one-shots. It's perfect for killing like lower level Pokemon. It is also impressive how tight the PP is routed. Like we have exactly, or normally you would have 2 extra PP for this entire section, but given our earlier situations, we're gonna have exactly 0 PP. Like we have exactly enough moves to get through the entire section. And if I missed the Houndoom range at the very end of the split, it's perfect because the range is at the very end. So even if I'm out of moves, I can still struggle to kill the Houndoom at the end. So it's just very nice the way that works out, with Thundershock being the main carry during this section. Like we actually used 30 Thundershocks. There's like eight fights left, 8 or 9 before Clair. think the routing on this section is pretty interesting. We try to use, because not only is PP type, but we're also trying to use moves that are not super effective when possible. So obviously there we could probably spark the glooms or hidden power, but we want to strength them because it's the fewest amount of text boxes. So we have to route around not only exact move counts, but trying to reduce text boxes and also our item order, our move order. Like, is it worth it to swap moves around, and when is faster to use a slot 1 move versus slot 3 and stuff like that. So with the move swaps from Higurashi, that's one thing that we're doing, is we move Thundershock to slot 1 because we use it a ton during the section, but also others, and ends up saving a little bit of time overall. But having our most used moved in slot 1 is just something that makes sense. I guess having our slot 1 move be the move that we use first the most often, even if it's not the most used, but like opening with Thundershock happens enough where having it slot 1 is faster. I have a spreadsheet somewhere where I count how many inputs you actually save by doing these move swaps and different, like testing other move swaps and seeing if they save more time, but this ended up being the most optimal. At least that I could find. Gotta remember escape ropes on slot 2, one on slot 1. An extra input there. I don't think I messed it up this run. I think I was pretty good about remembering what slot it's in. There's another quick attack. I get. Or not this one. I thought I'd end up taking one more, but maybe I'm misremembering. Could just be wrong. I think normally you hidden power this Golbat, but I routed the PP in such a way where we Thundershock instead. If I used hidden power, or I did some other like moves, different move orders earlier in the split where now I can Thundershock instead of hidden power. So I think we used our last hidden power on this fight. This is a Vileplume. We should have one hidden power and then... Yeah, so that's our last... So we have one Spark right now, 2 Thundershocks, 0 hidden power. And then I think we're using our last Strength right now. Yeah. So we have three moves, 2 Thundershock, 1 Spark, and we have 3 Pokemon left. So if we had not gotten the Hyper Potion on Pryce, we'd have an extra hidden power. And if we didn't miss the Magnemite range, we'd have another hidden power there. And then that is pretty flexible in where you can replace hidden power use with a Spark and save an extra Spark that way. But normally you would have 1 hidden power, 1 Spark, assuming you get all the ranges. So this Houndoom range is pretty rough. No pun intended. With this Raikou, it's a 52 or 51.9% range for Spark to kill it. And if I miss the range, I have to struggle to kill. I think it has Poison Gas is the worst move you want to you see. Being poisoned would just be slow. 51.9% range, and then we get it, so. Other than quick attacks, getting the range just means it's usually a pretty good split. The 12-13 makes me think it's... I think I got 2 quick attacks. I wasn't paying that much attention though. But getting the Houndoom range is pretty big. That's the main time loss. This guy just fucking yaps, holy. And then now we can actually play the game. Fight some non-rockets for the first time in like 30 minutes. Pretty standard stuff there. Fun fact, I think on PB Pace, this was like last year, I forgot to use the center. Because right now we have 0 moves. So I forgot to use the center, I entered Clair's gym, fought the first trainer, and on Jatini, I realized I had no moves, and just had to reset, I think. It was just too slow. So we have to pause again for 1 frame, at least, for that rotator. So I have to wait a little bit and then pass the rotator. No, we had literally 0 moves after the Houndoom. So before the center, we had 0 moves. So we fully emptied of our move count. I think the boulders in this run was actually pretty good if I remember correctly. I think I had a good boulder section. This boulder movement coming up is probably the most interesting movement execution in Gen 2. It's pretty tight. Yeah, that's not bad. And then you'll notice I do some swag turn frame stuff after each of these ladders. Doesn't lose any time. Just burn the extra turn frame in a random direction and then actually start moving. And then on this menu, this is where you'd normally teach Whirlpool. But since I did it earlier, I could skip that menu, so now I'm just doing a Repel. So this is where you make back the 14 or 15 seconds that you spent on Pryce. So I'm not comparing the record at this point because of the different menu stuff. I can check what the delta is to record. So I was minus 9.4 at Rival 4 compared to record. After your radio tower, I'm minus 4.3. So I lost around 5 seconds to record, I think due to quick attacks. It also just be general execution, but I think record got the range and also didn't get quick attacked, so. We one-shot everything in this gym except for Clair's Kingdra. Clair's Kingdra has Surf, Smokescreen, Dragon Breath, Hyper Beam, but it's just very likely to use Smokescreen turn 1. So best case scenario, we don't see Smokescreen. We want to take some damage, but if we just don't miss after you're just getting Smokescreen, that's normally good enough for us. I think this Shredder's dialogue's kind of funny. He says like, it's not as if we all use Dragon Pokemon. And then afterwards he's like, I wish I had more Dragon Pokemon or some shit like that. I don't know why I find that funny. Just text box there, pretty slow. Yeah, he says, rats if only I had a dragon. So move count is a little bit tight for the E4 section. I think, let me check my notes to make sure. I think we have 2 extra, or maybe just 1 extra PP. It's mainly Sparks and Hidden Powers that are tight. Thundershock and Strength are not that tight. Yeah, so assuming we don't waste any PP, but if we miss, like if we have to use all of our Sparks and Hidden Powers, then we should have 1 Spark extra. But depending on certain damage rolls, we can like Thundershock to save a Spark or Thundershock to save a Hidden Power. So PP for Spark and Hidden Power is pretty tight. We don't want to miss on Kingdra. Another important thing to note is that we lead with strength on the Kingdra, even though Spark does more damage, because we don't want it to go under half HP, because that will encourage it to use a Hyper Potion. Whereas if it's above half HP, then it's not likely to use it, or it can't use a Hyper Potion. So, because we could Spark first and then Strength, but that puts it under half, and then if it uses a Hyper Potion, then it's pretty bad. Here we go. Best outcome is like Surf, probably, but Smoke Screen hits, got hit through, and we do, so overall pretty good split. Good movement section, and then no misses. And we are 24 seconds ahead of record at Clair. There, I forget which one I'm supposed to walk. Bonk, just for fun. Probably doesn't even lose that much time with the turn frame. And this is the biggest mistake in the run, for sure. Like, biggest individual mistake. Normally, this is just a nothing fight. You're supposed to just click Hidden Power, one-shot it, move on. But that's not what happens. I don't even know what this Dragonair has in terms of its moves, but I accidentally click Strength. So not only do I waste an extra turn, but I take a Dragon Rage and take 40 extra damage, which is really significant. Because normally we want to take some damage to get under half HP for Karen, but 40 damage is a lot more than we normally stall for, so if I don't take any extra damage from here, then I'm okay. But if I like miss a range or whatever and take an extra turn of damage, then it's really scary for Karen, pretty much. So that's the biggest mistake in the run, for sure. Accidentally clicking Strength, and then we'll see how that snowballs, but at the very least, it's just a turn lost for now. I think this split is probably record's best. One of the record's best splits. Definitely top 2. Or maybe 3 with Douglas, but it's like Pryce, Bugsy, and Will are by far record's best splits. And I have a pretty horrible Will split in comparison. I'm going to lose a lot of time to record on the split. And I'll point out how. But the first one is obvious, like I had an extra turn on the Dragonair. One interesting idea is if I were to still get the Master Ball, but YOLO Ball the Raikou, I can Master Ball the Gyarados in Lake of Rage and use that as a Waterfall Pokemon instead of the Dratini I'm about to pick up. But it ends up just being faster, like way faster to get the Dratini. But that is an option for us to use the Master Ball for something else. But the Master Ball detour is just so slow compared to Dratini, so it's not being worth it. Waterfall, Dratini, immediately. Use some fun foul movement to get a buffer for voice. Yeah. So we waste some extra steps on purpose to get a better spinner pass. That's one. We take an extra step there. Another idea is manipulating the lottery ID to win something that's not the Master Ball. Because I think you can win like a PP up or PP max. I forget what else you can win in the lottery, but in general, just talking to the lottery guy is so slow. It's hard to justify the detour. Yeah, we took an extra step there when we walked to the water, and then we burned some extra steps there waiting for the rotator. So we're all trying to just burn repel steps. We take 2 extra steps here going up and then down. All so that our repel wears out on a very specific tile. Really good spin. That's a pretty bad pass, but I'm taking it. PP up, EXP share, Master Ball. Yeah, none of those are really. Like, PP up maybe has some use, but it's not going to be worth like 35 seconds. This Rapidash is a range to die to Spark. It's pretty good, right? 92. 92.8. I don't know if I've ever missed this range. Only Victory Road in Gen 1 was this short. No boulders, just movement. Good bonk. So this fight is where Record saves a lot of time. We have to set up an X special on the Magneton, and it is very likely to use Thunder Wave, and it normally just uses it and we get paralyzed and we have to heal the paralysis, which is pretty slow. I think Record gets a pretty small chance of getting Sonic Boom, so it doesn't have to heal the paralysis at all, and then saves a bunch of time that way. Oh, never mind. We don't set up, we just two-shot it. Same way, same thing either way, but it's Sonic Boom turn 2, which is not great because we are already pretty low HP. So from here, we're expected to take at least 50 more damage, mandatory, which puts us at around 70 HP, which is a little low, but still okay, as long as we don't take any extra damage here. We'll see if that ends up being the case. So this Meganium is a range. On this Raikou, it's actually a lot better. It's a 64% range to die. But on the 14 special Raikou, it's like a 45% range. It's almost a 20% difference. Thankfully, we just get the range, so that one's good. And there's one more range left on the split. The Jinx on Will is a 53.8% range to get one shot, and has some pretty scary moves. So it's like Double Slap, it has Lovely Kiss, has Psychic, and I want to say Blizzard. It has an Ice move. But world record gets the range. Doesn't worry about it. So we've already lost a lot of time to record because we two-shot the first Dragonair by clicking the wrong move, and then we got paralyzed on the Magneton, which lost an extra turn. Everything else in this fight is just the one shot, so we don't have to really sweat it out. It's just the Jinx that is an issue. So 53.8%. And we missed the range into Psychic. So now this is really bad. Because keep in mind, we're taking an extra roughly 50 damage from here. It is expected. And we need to set up 2 turns on an Umbreon that is very favorite to use Feint Attack. So at this point our HP is too low with the standard E4 from here, so we're gonna have to heal. The problem is we don't want to heal before Karen, because the entire point of this situation is we need to enter Karen at under half HP. So it makes it really awkward to try to heal earlier, because if I were to heal, let's say before Rival 5, I would likely have to tank and stall for some damage back, because I would be at full HP, I need to get under half HP again. So it makes the decision here pretty awkward on what to do. Because I could try to heal earlier and then stall extra turns, or I could just enter Karen at a lower HP and just try to improvise from there. So for now, I'm just thinking I'm just gonna heal in the Karen split and figure it out. So compared to record, I was 24 seconds ahead. Now I'm only 12. I lost 12 seconds to record's Will split there. Gyarados is a range here. It is 83% with this Raikou. And thankfully I get it. I think it has like double team, which is probably the scariest move you can see. In Fortress, we almost always see spikes here. And then this Muck almost always uses Minimize, so we have to hit a move through Minimize. Thankfully with most rolls, we can just Thundershock. So if we miss, it's not really an issue for PP. But if I low roll this Hidden Power, then I'd have to Hidden Power again. But it's good enough roll for me to Thundershock. And thankfully I just get the range, so hit through, not a big issue. So this Koga is pretty standard. Get the Gyarados range and then 2-shot the Muck. So my deltas shouldn't be changing that much here. I lost a second to record here. I wonder if record doesn't get minimized. I wonder if it gets like, I don't even know what would be faster. Could also just be text box execution. I was pretty slow on clearing the spikes text box, so it could be that. The Bruno is normally where you would take an extra hit of damage from either the Hitmonchan or the Hitmonlee, but I definitely don't need to do that this run. I have way more than enough damage taken, so You expect to take a dig here. It does 30 to 36. We actually get the min roll of 30, which at this point doesn't really matter, but it does help, I think. And then the Hitmonchan is guaranteed to use Mach Punch, which does, I think, 17 to 21. Record has a pretty bad Bruno fight because it tries to stall on Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee uses like Foresight or something and it has to stall an extra turn, so it ends up stalling 2 turns and gets a really slow high jump kick. So Record loses a lot of time on the split compared to standard. So I saved 13 seconds over Record, so now I'm 23 seconds ahead after Bruno. But this is where I'm gonna have a slow Karen split. I need to tank 3 feint attacks. Best case, absolute best case scenario is I get a turn 1 stand attack fail. Because that way at this HP I should be able to live 2 feint attacks, but not 3. So if I got a sand attack fail turn 1, and then 2 feint attacks, I should have enough HP for the fight. But that's a pretty rare outcome for that to happen. It's like 20-ish% to use sand attack, and then it's like 25% chance to miss from there, something like that. Like a 5% fight to happen. I could also fully paralyze, that's another good outcome, but fortunately we just get feint attack. We set up to +1 because we can tank another feint attack here. And then normally we'd set up again, but we would die to another feint attack. So I still need to set up another X special to kill the Houndoom, I believe. So I'm going to set up on the Gengar and try not to get paralyzed. I don't even know if it uses other moves that aren't Lick. I never had to set up on Gengar before. I don't know if it uses like Mean Look ever. But we set up here. We see a Lick. And at this point we haven't lost any time to Record. Like we've seen the same amount of moves, we've seen the same amount of turns, it doesn't really matter. But now, because we're at 6 HP, enemy Murkrow has Quick Attack, and it is guaranteed to use Quick Attack if it kills us. So we have to full restore for the Murkrow. If we had 13 HP, then we'd be safe, but at 6 HP, it's clicking Quick Attack here, so we have to full restore. So this is the time loss. It's really slow to full restore, especially since we were at very low HP. It just takes such a long time to heal, see the HP bar go up, and then see the Quick Attack, so. We do survive Karen, but it is a very, very big time loss, and it all stemmed from clicking the wrong move on that Dragonair in the Will Split. Because if I didn't take the Dragon Rage there, I'd have 40 more HP and I'd be in a much safer spot, but yeah. So we were almost 24 seconds ahead of Record, now we're only 8. We lost like 16 seconds there. Yeah, so that's the biggest, by far the biggest mistake in the run, true mistake. Everything else is sort of very minor or unlucky RNG or whatever, but the actual mistake there was pretty significant. Lost around 16 seconds on Karen and then lost another like 6, maybe like 5 on Will Split by doing the extra turn. I don't know. There aren't very many speed games I'd be interested in playing right now. Like, definitely not like a Pokemon game, if anything. I don't know if I will push for 306, but it's on the table. But I mean, I'm definitely not playing Gen 1 ever again. I'm not playing Gold. I'm probably not playing Gen 3. No, you can ask whatever. Just, I don't think I will ever play Gen 1 or Gold ever again. Gen 3 is on the table, but I don't know if I... Maybe not right now. Like out of Gen 3, it would only be Emerald, I think. I would not play Fire Red ever, I think. And I think Emerald appeals to me more than Ruby Saph, but... Crossword speedruns. I was actually, a couple years ago, I was very close to becoming like a Gen 4, Gen 5 runner. Because I think, I forget it might have been Saiyan who was like selling his DS setup, and I almost bought it from him a couple years ago. Ended up not falling through. I did say I would never own Crystal for record, but also that was before all the shit I discovered with... I got hooked into the Minips and Yellow Ball, and here we are. Like, Crystal deserves a better record with all the stuff I've found, so... I felt obligated to push for a better time. Just find new Gen 1 Minips. I think Kink is unironically doing that, actually. I know he's been doing some experimental surge stuff for a while. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever play for 144 or like 152 in yellow. It just seems like horrible. Like I'm fine letting my runs stand where they were. There's a hidden 309 that WSUP took off. I think WSUP is a 309.56 or something like that, but included this run. Yeah, there's just not that many people that have run Crystal at a top level who are interested in playing for a better time. Because most, like, Pokeguy got like a couple 309s when he was getting record, and then obviously stopped for whatever reason. Like, Fran stopped after Gyarados 310, Gunner stopped after Gyarados 310. I think WSUP is not speedrunning anything. I think he's just in... To my knowledge, he's still just doing his own thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic, some TCG. No, he has a 54. I think like a 54. Yeah, it's not like he's not allowed to submit, but I think he has a 54 1x or 2x, if I remember, like a low 54. Maybe I'm misremembering. Yeah, so just another comparison. I'm only 7.8 seconds ahead of record after Lance. But record has a pretty poor Kanto segment, so there's a lot of time that is available to be saved. WSUP has exhibited some problematic behavior in the past, where I don't know if it was ever made public, like his ban or not, but he is not like in the community anymore. Like, he stated some like pretty strong like anti-vax stuff in the past, and some like transphobic stuff, and harassed a couple community members, so it's just, yeah. has not been like active or relevant in the community for a long time, at least like 3 or 4 years. So for Misty Split, there are 2 quick attack Pokemon. And then obviously the spinner. We passed Heidi twice during the split. And then Quagsire clicks a move. So if it clicks, I think like Rain Dance is the slowest move it can give you, but otherwise it's pretty low. Like pretty low RNG segment. It's just like the spinner, 2 quick attacks, and that's most of it. So if we get fast passes and then dodge some quick attacks, we're usually okay. It's kind of fun doing this section, like speedrunning through Kanto. Misty's probably the most boring segment just because of Nugget Bridge. We have like 7 fights that are all back to back that are all kind of slow, but otherwise Kanto is pretty quick. If we had Abra, we'd actually go through Rock Tunnel. Like we'd go from Saffron to Lavender, go through Rock Tunnel backwards, and then skip Heidi. Because we go through Rock Tunnel backwards, we'd enter the center and set our teleport point to the center outside of Rock Tunnel. So that way, after we have to go back to the power plant, we can just teleport back there and save an extra 2 spinner passes. So we would save 4 spinner passes total by doing that. But it's just like getting Abra is just too slow. So it's not really anything there. There's not anything too much for Kanto to be improved. Like there is some stuff with like there's a hidden rare candy on the volcano that we could pick up. That's a pretty scary pass I just took, but yeah. Like the biggest thing with Kanto is we backtrack to Pewter. So we enter Pewter to get the fly point, but we don't actually beat Brock until much later. And then also we have to delay Sabrina for a good amount of time before because we don't have crunch for Sabrina, so it makes the gym order a little awkward. There is a hidden rare candy we can pick up, but it just ends up barely not being faster. It changed the gym order and pick up and use the candy. So I don't think anything in Kanto has actually changed from record. Yeah, not for lack of trying though. There's another routing idea where we took a mart inside the Elite Four to buy max repels and full restores. But theoretically, you can just buy more super repels earlier in Olivine and skip the entire mart, assuming you have healing items. But so it skips a mart and saves like 5-ish seconds, but it's kind of scary because you don't have any full restores. And normally you don't really need a full restore for Kanto. But for Carrot, it can sometimes be relevant, so that's like an idea that could... It's like it could push the time lower, but it's not really worth the risk, I think, of not having full restores in your bag. Yeah, Kanto's just pretty straightforward. Not really much that we can change. We are doing a slightly different route. Like, I guess one fight only. or 2 compared to Record, Kanto. Because Record was doing a route that had 1 fewer X special, so we buy 21 X specials on my route. And Record was doing a route where you bought 20 X specials and bought an extra escape rope instead. And Record also had a pretty unfortunate Bruno fight, where Record had to spend an extra X special to stall. So Record has 1 fewer X special on the blue fight, which snowballed and lost a good amount of time. So over Record, like the Surge split is pretty weak on Record, the blue split is weak, the red split is weak, and the Misty split is not great, but it's okay. But those are the main areas of saving time over Record and Kanto. After each split, I'll update where the delta is to Record. So again, after your Lance, I'm only around 8 seconds ahead of Record. I think I just fought the Vaporeon. I wasn't paying attention, but I think I didn't hit Quick Attack. I'll check the HP here. Yeah, didn't get it. And the Pidgeotto coming up here has Quick Attack. So it's around 2 to 3 seconds if I get it. And there it is. A little bit of time loss, but not a big deal. I think Record gets 2 Quick Attacks, but also has a really slow... Well, not really slow, but has a slower Heidi pass. Two more fights. Nothing really of note here, just clicking the right move. Our PP count is a little bit tight for Kanto. I think we have exactly enough sparks and hidden powers. So if we accidentally spark or hidden power or something extra, we have to make it up somehow. And that includes hitting a spinner. I think strengths are not that tight. Thank you, Ocean Bagel. And then Thundershocks are definitely not tight, because we have 30. Last fight before Misty. Now we can actually go back to playing the game. PB has a pretty bad Misty segment because I miss like a 97% range that I was not aware was a range. I missed that range and get 2 quick attacks, so that's why it's a 1534. I think I also got Rain Dance, which is the slowest option from the Quagsire. But I should be saving a lot of time over PB and then a good amount of time over record. I think older routes used to pick up the machine part after beating Misty. But I think we found that it was fast, like slightly faster to do it this way. I say we as if I was involved in any way, but Gen 2 runners at the time found that it was faster to pick it up before. Foxire is very likely to use Amnesia, so we Hidden Power first as our special move. That way, we Strength to finish. But if we had Strength, it got Amnesia and then we Hidden Power wouldn't kill, so just a specific order there. I think my goal is not that great for Misty. The Saw, a quick attack, and the Pidgeotto, I think pretty much matches my gold. Yeah. So at Misty, I am 15 seconds ahead of record, so I saved around 7 seconds over records. Misty split. So the Surge split is probably the most stressful split in the entire run, because for such a short split, it has the highest density of spinner passes. So first we immediately have to pass Heidi twice again. That's a pretty bad pass, but took it. That's a horrible pass, but I just took it. A very scary passes, but ended up working out. We repel on a very specific tile there to set up for Tom later. Those were awful passes, by the way. Like, the second pass was atrocious, but it was extremely fast, so I'm aiming for like a very good Surge segment here. The Records obviously doesn't hit a spinner, but Record misses a pretty crucial range on Surge and gets paralyzed, so loses a lot of time on the Surge fight itself. I think my PB doesn't get paralyzed by Surge, has a pretty good Surge fight, but gets a stuck spinner, so loses around 8 seconds. Audio's choppy for a bit. Decent pass. That's decent pass. Even though with the directions it's kind of scary, but those are good pauses. And then, yeah. But just to see what the repel did. The repel actually wears out on this turn frame. By turning frame up, I can get it to go. So I'm at this point. I'm already it's during the turn frame. If he had spun, I would have gone here, but now I have to just wait for the extra spin and then pause. That's a pretty fun repel setup. You gotta have to trust the repel that it's gonna block your turn frame. If you repel it incorrectly and then do something wrong, then you could just end up running straight up into the spinner. Yeah, 2 minutes and we did 5 spinner passes, 2 on Heidi, 3 on Tom. So now there's only 1 spinner left in Kanto, it's Rebecca. So Surge leads a Raichu, it's very likely to use Thunder Wave. I can actually check the move odds. I think it's like 90% to use Thunder Wave, 10% Thunder, something like that. Yeah, 89% to Thunder Wave, 11% to Thunder. And Thunder Wave has a 25% chance to miss. But that's the absolute best case scenario, is we either get a Thunder Wave miss or a Thunder non-paralysis. But the overwhelming majority of times we just get paralyzed. So my PB does not get paralyzed. I think it sees a Thunder Wave miss. And world record, I think, gets a Thunder Wave miss, misses the range, and then gets Thunder paralyzed. Something like that. Some stupid fight. So record gets a pretty unlucky surge. So we have to set up next special. Thunder Wave hit. So this is the standard, like, expected outcome. We are out of status healing items, so we don't have any paralyzed heals or full heals. So any future status things that happen, I'll have to 4-star, which are a little bit slow depending on how much HP you have to recover. So if that Thunder hit just paralyzed me, I'd have to 4-star and heal back to full HP, and it's a little bit slow. There's one more thing that doesn't die. The Electabuzz is a 2-shot. It can Thunder, I think. And it can paralyze you, but most of the time you end up seeing light screen. Yeah, so I don't think I have a good gold on this set of splits. Like, I think a really good search split is probably a 517, 518, something around there. Another instance where we use our special move first, turn 1. Because if we get light screen, then using strength and then Thundershock wouldn't kill. I think strength also puts it into heal range, so we don't want to do that either. I think Electabuzz is the ace. Yeah, a 525 with a paralysis is pretty good. So we were 15 seconds ahead at Misty, now we are 26 seconds ahead of record. We saved almost 11 seconds over record. Again, we use our repel on a pretty specific tile. This one's a pretty minor, a very minor optimization, but it's you'll see where it wears out. Jacob's Cave, pretty simple. And then we actually get the fly point. A little bit scary movement here with the rotator. Because if you aren't, like the lag zones when you enter and leave pewter here, it's a little bit laggy, so you have to be confident in the pass. Because the pass for the rotator, like the rotator is already looking left here. So if you mess up a little bit, it's very easy to be seen. But takes a little bit of practice to do the movement properly with the route loads. You can also just go, I'll ask how I'll do this, but if you want to play it safe, you can just keep going left here, further outside of this rotator's vision. You can go like 3 or 4 tiles left and just play it safe, but doesn't really matter that much. And the repel wears out right here. Just gonna, I don't even know if that's even helpful in any way, but you just pass the sign, you get a easier, I guess, easier movement direction switch for the passing the guy. It's still surprising to me that it's faster to talk to the water at the top instead of biking around the left side and surfing. But it ends up being like very close, but I think it's like 8-ish frames slower to bike more tiles. But yeah, above where I'm talking to right now, if I go up, there's a hidden rare candy that you can pick up. And it's just barely not faster to pick it up and then do a different gym order. It's like a second or two slower, so that just doesn't work out. There's a spinner here. If the spinner is stuck, we could choose to just go past him, but otherwise we just go around the island. It saves, I think, 2 or 3 seconds if they get stuck. I've never had it happen to me, though. This Macargo coming up. I think it only uses Curse or Flamethrower. I'm still not sure which one's faster. I think Curse might be a little faster to see. And Flamethrower is obviously more scary because it's scarier if you get burned. So we do see Flamethrower, but it's non-crit status, so chillin'. There shouldn't be that much variation between me and Record, between this split and blue, really. Yeah, so I saved... This is 0.08 seconds over Record in this split. That's what, like 5 frames-ish on the search split. I think my target here probably assumes Curse, which is not great. My 307 target. I shouldn't be losing a full second there to Flamethrower. Minor optimization to exit the water facing up. That way I can bike straight up without generating a turn frame. It's always fun to see people think that these are actually like spinners. I mean, they are spinners, but they're like zero vision spinners or whatever, so. The untrained eye, it kind of looks funny if these are actually all spinners and you have to pass them, but thankfully, it would be awful if these were actually spinners. Like max vision spinners or whatever, but. Yeah. The only real RNG in the split is, I think it's a 50-50 whether or not Janine uses a guard spec. Is it a guard spec or a dire hit on the Venomoth? If she uses it, it loses like 0.7 around there, so it doesn't even affect that much. That would be crazy. I did crit the Wheezing, so a little bit of time lost there, like 0.4-ish. Yeah, so on Janine, I'm losing... I lost 0.3 to Record. I assume due to the crit. Yeah, so I don't get the item from Janine, so won the coin flip. I lost some time there. I didn't buffer the TM properly. I'm gonna lose a little bit of time to split to that. Yeah, I think ideally we'd want to do Sabrina before Erika. Because at some point we have to backtrack back to Sabrina. But if we like bike to Sabrina's gym and then biked from Sabrina to Erika, it's slightly faster. We just can't do Sabrina early because we don't have crunch. Good bonk. I think I have another bonk in the gym. I was not really paying attention at this point. This gym is pretty straightforward. Just one-shot everything. Thank you, Tepic. Yeah, extra bonk there. Doesn't lose that much time because of the turn frame. I didn't realize our strength count was so low. We actually use a lot of our strengths. I think that's the last one we used though. Yeah, so with the bonks and the bad text box, I lose like 0.16-ish, the record. So less than 0.2. Not bad at all. Definitely could be saving time here. I think I lose like over a second to my gold, probably. Let's see, my gold's like a 453. Thank you, CPP. I haven't been tracking crits at all, but I don't think I crit that many times, if at all. Yeah, so I lost like a second and a half to my gold. The bonk, the bad text boxes. So. Definitely a weaker split for me. But I only lost less than 0.2 to record, so. doesn't really make a meaningful difference here with this big of a lead. So this split I'm expecting to save a good amount of time because again Record had to do the one X special blue fight. You set up an extra turn instead of like normally if you have two X specials you set up once on the Pidgeotto or Pidgeot and then once on the eggs. But if you only have one X special, you'd set up on the Pidgeot and then you'd two-shot the Arcanine. And the Arcanine has Flamethrower. It could burn you, it ends up being really slow just to see your HP bar go down. And then in the case of World Record was forced to heal before the red fight, which cost even more time because of the Flamethrower, so. Another weak point for Record's Kanto. So it stemmed from both a routing difference, having one fewer X special, but also having an unluckier Bruno fight where Record was forced to X special. I don't even know if it was forced, but ended up using the extra X special inside Bruno's gym and then had to recover it somehow. So for reference, I am 25.5 seconds ahead of Record after Erika. After Blue, I'm 28.8 seconds ahead, so I saved a little over 3 seconds on the split. And that's mainly due to the faster setup turn. It's like the same amount of total turns, but the fact that it took an extra Flamethrower and then later on it'll snowball into the red split where Record will have to heal. And that loses even more time. I don't know which is faster. The eggs can use Leech Seed or Solar Beam. I actually don't know which one is like favorable, but they're both pretty fast. I think even if I hit Rebecca, I can still PB, by the way. It's probably not going to Record, but I think PB is definitely doable from here with the hitting Rebecca. But that's coming up soon. That's what I was thinking about at this point. Like I see the minus 51, Rebecca loses like around 45, I think. So I am 28, almost 29 seconds ahead of Record at this point. I think my Sabrina pass was, or my Rebecca pass was horrible, if I remember. Like a very risky pass, but extremely fast. Like most of my Kanto passes have been pretty terrible. Extra turn frame there. It's not that bad, but shouldn't have taken that, probably. A pretty risky pass, but wasn't that bad. But yeah, with that, that marks the end of the final spinner and crystal. So I didn't want to think about it, but at this point I'm pretty much like locked in for Record for 307. Like if I can still make enough mistakes where I don't get 307, don't get Record, but it's pretty hard. Like as long as I don't miss a fly, as long as I don't like fuck up Mount Silver too much, and then as long as I don't get like chain thundered by Pikachu, this should be 307 after passing Rebecca. I saved around half a second over Record because of my extremely fast and risky Rebecca pass. I'm 29.3 ahead at Sabrina. Rock Gym pretty straightforward. There is I think a 2% chance for Amistar to use Protect, and that loses around 10 seconds. I've gotten it before on one of my PBs. Like, I think my Throw 9 has a Protect from Amistar. It's pretty troll. We could technically do this gym early with hidden power instead of crunch, but our hidden power count is pretty tight and it's hard for us to make up the hidden power somewhere else, so at least on the current route it's still faster for us to delay tutor even though we have to backtrack and then just do it with crunch instead of hidden power. Crunch is also faster because not super effective against these rock ground Pokemon. So it does save some time over hidden power. Here it is, Amistar, 2%. And we don't get it. Actually lose a good amount of time here to record. That's not even that bad. But what did this? I lost 0.7 the record. And then now we have the final split. And this is probably record's worst. Sorry, excuse me. Probably record's worst Kanto split. This and Surge, but this record has to not only full restore before red, but also two-shot the Venusaur because record is down a hidden power. Still not that tired. Like, my sleeping schedule is kind of fucked already. I was feeling okay. Just I couldn't be too loud because obviously my roommates are all sleeping. Okay, so after Brock, I am 28.6 seconds ahead of record. Assuming I get the same red as record, this is like 307.45 pace, but check this Mount Silver. I do fuck up Mount Silver a little bit, but I recovered very, very well. I bonk there, which throws off the audio cue. And then I have a perfect rest of the repel section. Have an intentional bonk there, and then, yeah, perfect ending. So I will replay that just because I'm proud of that. So normally, this upturn, which is blind, I use an audio cue, which only works if you have perfect movement up until this point when you enter the cave, but because I bonked, it threw off the audio cue, so it's just by feel, pretty much. Like I bonk here, so now the audio cue is fucked, so I just have to go by feel for when to turn up, and then I nail it without bonking, and then I have a perfect section here. So even with the bonk, this is a really fucking good Mount Silver. Like I'm very happy with how I recovered there. That was really good. And then for once, I don't bonk on this. I don't like have an extra thing here. I can actually do this turn. Yeah, so assuming I don't get thunder spammed, there's very little that can go wrong in this fight. Charm is obviously faster than thunder hits, because you don't see your HP bar go down, you don't get paralyzed, etc. Gotta set to +6. Charm hits are a little faster than charm fails, but doesn't really matter because you're likely to just see 3 charm hits anyway. Yeah. Here we go. So I think, I don't know if Snorlax can still body slam from here, but it's overwhelmingly likely to use Amnesia. If we paralyze, the Snorlax is a little bit slow, but not a big deal. If we crit, it's pretty fast, but you know, you're not expected to lose that much time here. Like maybe like 10 seconds max if you get unlucky with the paralyze. But thankfully, bit of a spoiler alert as this HP bar goes down very slowly. We don't see a paralysis and we see Amnesia, so this is pretty much a perfect red split. Like other than one bonk inside Mount Silver, like this was an extremely good red split without a YOLO. Like no crits, obviously, but yeah, this was just very solid. So I end up saving almost 20 seconds over record in this split. They like 18-ish. So yeah, very strong end to this this run. I'm really happy with how I played Mount Silver. Like both, I would say the 2 difficult movement sections in this game, Mount Silver and Ice Path, I played very, very well this game. Like obviously I made some mistakes, like small ones. The big mistake I made was misclicking during the will split, but otherwise I think I played pretty well. I'm happy with this run except for the mistake. And the run was not even particularly lucky outside of like spinnerless and not hitting Douglas. Yeah. Because like the early game was not great, mid game was not great because of the hyper potion and misrange on Jasmine and shit like that, so finally time for sub runs. I could do that. To IGT, it's kind of funny. I actually don't know if it made it into the desktop audio VOD, but like it's 5 AM at this point and I'm popping off, but I can't be loud. So I'm like doing the classic like whisper pop off, which is kind of funny. I don't know how much that actually captures in the mic. I haven't checked because the VOD I uploaded is game audio only. Thank God there were no mods to tell me to hard reset instantly. I do have the input log though if anyone needed it for whatever reason for verification. Like I still have that saved, but yeah. That is Pokemon Crystal on 307.26. I actually don't know if it's a 26. Because it's pretty close. Might be a frame count. But yeah, I mean, considering I have an input display and input log if required, I can provide that if needed, but I mean, I would say I've definitely proven that I'm capable of this time over streaming it live and fucking all the runs I've had that are good, so don't expect to get much pushback, but if required, I'll provide whatever verification requested. Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's hard to say I'm unhappy with this run. Just because I had first ball Raikou and I got the extended minutes that I've been working on. But there are a lot of low lights. Mainly the mistake on Will, which cost like 20 or more. That's the big one. And then some bullshit like the Jasmine split I lost like 15 to pretty much nothing. Like those two are like the only things where I'm really not upset, but like I wish it were better. Like the Will split is very easily avoidable. Click the right move, I saved 20 seconds there. Jasmine is just unlucky, but everything else was fine. Early game was okay, not great, but not bad, and then Kanto was pretty good. But yeah. Not sure if I'll push for 306. Because it pretty much it requires a good early game, which is not necessarily hard, but just getting a good run past Whitney is difficult. And then I have to get first ball Raikou, and then I need spinnerless rest of run, and ideally I need to not hit Douglas. So it's just definitely possible, but so many things need to line up. But this is definitely a strong record. Like 3726 is fucking good for sure. And I don't see anyone beating this time without doing the stuff I've been doing. Like without Raikou Manip, Yellow Ball, I don't see anyone beating this time, really. Yeah, I'm considering where I was at the start of this year when I was just doing runs with, standard Master Ball and whatever. And, 5 months later, I'm here and back with a completely different route. Pretty much, I mean, it's very similar, but very different, very drastic changes that, shaped the way Crystal is going to be run in the future, I think. I'm pretty happy with this. Yep. Like, at some point, I will need to go and document literally everything I've done for anyone who does want to play Crystal in the future, because right now it's impossible, I'd say, for anyone to replicate what I've done. There's no info out there. So I'll need to document all the manips and the Yellow Ball stuff and yeah, tracking. I will do some thank yous right now. Big shout out to Enterpenter and Gifx. I think that's where a lot of this started this year, was the idea of doing the extended manip for Route 29 into no encounters on the way down Route 30. Enterpenter and Gifx were really the main reason that was possible, because they helped me with the ROM hack that made practicing clearing text boxes with instant feedback a thing. Like without them, I wouldn't have made that ROM hack that shows you when you miss a text box, and without that, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere near as consistent with Route 29 extension manip. Big shout out to Stringflow, because without him not only like opening up his code base years ago, but also like taking the time to answer literally all of my stupid questions I have about anything Gen 1, Gen 2, like manip related. Like I would not nearly be as invested in pushing like the boundaries of like Gen 1 and Gen 2 manip creation as I've done. So he was like such a huge part of my growth as like a Gen 1, Gen 2 manip person, but also just like a runner. Big shout out to Big G, to Groger for pushing a lot of the IGT track stuff in Gen 1. Because that also was like the only reason why this was possible in Gen 2 is because he'd already done it in Gen 1 with the IGT track and the septuple extension and shit like that. So yeah, big G. And then yeah, everyone would just like help me push different ideas, like Head Bob with the routing ideas, and like obviously like Fran and Wave and Pokeguy for different ideas, bouncing around different stuff and saying, hey, looks good, or hey, this looks stupid, don't do that. Ocean Bagel, who's here in chat for the TID manip. That saved a little bit of time. That was fun. Hikarashi for the move swaps. I mean, yeah. Not sure if I'll push for 306, but it's tempting. But I'm not looking forward to like resetting for pace on Whitney and Bugsy again. Because 306 is actually pretty, like you will just die to pace instead of dying to Rival 2 and Whitney. So I don't know how I feel about that, but definitely on the table. Anyone? Alright, Chen. Thank you guys for watching. It's been fun. Not sure if I'll be that much be that active in PSR games speedrunning, but you never know. Like, happy with the 307.